Hello, welcome to our re-recording of ClickUp's joint webinar with data automation to automate or not to automate. I'm Sophia Kaminsky and I'm a customer success manager here at ClickUp. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. We did have a few technical issues when we were first recording this session, so this re-recording is meant to remedy that. To get started, I wanted to provide a quick overview of what this webinar will entail. So we'll start out today with an overview of ClickUp's automation feature led by myself. And this is a time to learn what automation actually is if you've never used this feature before, and how to use it in the context of real-life use cases. So I'll be showing you things like how to automate workflows in conjunction with our forms feature, as well as how to automate reminders to keep people accountable for due dates, how to pass tasks back and forth as they move between different statuses, so only relevant team members are involved at pertinent stages, and much more. Next, I'll be joined by Will Christensen, who is the CEO of DataAutomation. And DataAutomation helps you to automate data-heavy processes and build custom integrations with other products and services. So will have some great information for you in regards to when, what, and how you should automate your workflows. Lastly, will take you through some real life cases of creating automations via Zapier. So how you can use Zapier to create integrations with third-party apps and ClickUp. All right, let's get started with the first portion of the webinar. So I wanted to start off today by explaining, of course, what automation is. On a basic level, automation is a way that you can set up triggers that will prompt actions in ClickUp and save yourself time doing processes that otherwise you would have been conducting manually. So the basic components that you need to understand of ClickUp's automation feature are first, the trigger. When this happens, an action will be prompted. So we have a trigger and it prompts the action. You can also have what are called conditions. So something that needs to be true in order for the trigger to prompt an action in ClickUp. So for example, when my status changes to done, then I want to change the assignee to someone that is responsible for following up with the client to let them know the task is done. I'll be showing you some concrete examples of when to use conditions as well as multiple actions out in one automation. The first use case I wanted to go through today is how to use automation in conjunction with a ClickUp form. So in my example, I have a space called projects. And in this space, I have a folder for project requests in which I have 3 lists: content, marketing, and development. So I'm delineating the different types of requests I might get in these various lists. And I have a ClickUp form view in order to streamline project requests. So people can fill out this form at any point to indicate what type of project they want to request. And I have a drop-down field in the form where they can flag the project request by type. So they can indicate if this is for content, marketing, and development. Now, I want to make it easy for my various teams to only see the types of requests that are pertinent to them. So what I've done is set up some automation for my project requests folder. So I'm going to go into the automation menu for the folder so we can take a look. The first automation you can see here is when a task is created, if the custom field value of that option is set to content, then I'm going to move the task into the content list. So this is an example of a condition, something that has to be true in order for my task to be moved to content. And I've done the same thing for the other 2 options as well. So when a task is created with the marketing value, the task will be moved to marketing. And finally, I have a development option. So when a task is created with development, it'll be moved to the development list. So let's take a moment and see what this would look like in action. So let's say this is a content request. When that form is submitted, I'll be able to see that it was added correctly to the content list. And my content team members can open it up and they can see all of the information that was submitted in the form, from the due date that was added in the form, to the description, to the name, to the custom field in there. So it's a very simple way to automate tasks coming in from forms being sent to specific teams to take action on them. Another example is for human resources. So what I've added into my space called human resources is a folder called hiring pipeline. And this is where I've created lists for each department that I am hiring for. Now, the reason that I've added in this folder is because it contains a really cool form template for applications. So this is a perfect example of how you could streamline applications for new positions at your company. And this is a template that you can drop into your workspace at any time by navigating to our template center. So all you'll need to do is click on the plus sign next to an existing space and navigate to our template center, and then browse templates. And under the community section here, you will be able to check out all of our templates for various use cases. The one that I have added in here can be found under the human resources section. And it's just the folder template called hiring candidates. And this one, again, has that really excellent form that you could use to streamline applications for your company. Let's show an example of some automation that we could use with the human resources template I have here. So in this template, I have a task for each candidate that has applied for a role, and the task moves through various statuses. So I can show, when the applicant is brand new, and then as they progress through each phase of the interview process, I can move the status of the task along. However, not everybody necessarily in the human resources department needs to get involved or notified about tasks in this area throughout the entire process. Maybe, for example, someone is in charge of handling the phone interviews, but once it comes to the in-person interview, maybe a more senior manager would get involved in that process. So this is another example of where we can set up automation to pass the task back and forth to different people as it progresses. So again, I'm going to set up some automation for my hiring pipeline folder here. And for this example, I can indicate when a status changes, I want to change the assignee to someone else so that they take responsibility for it. So maybe when the status changes from phone interview, project sent, or received project to the in-person interview phase, then I would like to change the assignee. So what I can do is in the advanced section, I can even reassign altogether, remove the old assignee, and I'm going to reassign it to the HR manager. And I'm also going to add an additional action. I'm going to comment at the manager. So I'm going to tell her at Carvania, this candidate is a fit for a live interview. Could you please follow up? So with this automation in place, Carvania will get notified that she's been assigned, and she'll get an @mentioned comment as well, just to make sure that she sees it. So let's take a look at what this would look like when we change the status from phone interview, project sent, or received project to in-person interview. So what we should see shortly, might take a moment to kick in, is the assignee has been changed and she's been gotten a little comment to notify her. So the old assignee is no longer responsible for the task. Now we've just looped in the person that needs to be aware of it. Another automation that you could definitely play around with would be based around due date. So many people really want to make sure that no due date obviously slips through the cracks for their tasks. So one other thing that we could do is set up an automation based on due date. So for example, when due date arrives, I want to again add a comment to remind the assignees to get the task done. And you can actually @mention all of the assignees like so. And now with this in place, when the due date for the task arrives, all of the assignees would get a ping in their in-app notifications to attend to the task. Let's take a look at a different use case. I have a folder set up here for support tickets. So I'm using this to bucket all of the different requests sent in by my clients. And I have lists to delineate the different types of requests I might receive. So general questions about my product, any technical issues that I need to loop in for technical support, and feature requests that need to go to my product team. And I also have another form set up here that has been set up so that people can send in various requests. And again, I have a similar drop-down field so they can indicate what type of request this actually is. So again, this is an example of where you could use that drop-down automation we went in at the beginning of my segment. We went over at the beginning of my segment today, where based on the drop-down entry that's filled in, the ticket would be sent to a specific list. But let's play around with a slightly different use case now. So let's say a task is filled out here and it comes into as a technical issue here. So one very common use case might be that maybe more than one team actually needs to be aware of a task and working on it at the same time. So for example, perhaps our technical support team relies on our general support team to actually follow up with the client when the task has been completed. And in that case, we have a great feature called tasks in multiple lists. So this task can be actually made to live in not only the technical issues list, but I could also make it live in the general support questions list to ensure that both teams can work on it and see it at the same time. So I've set up an automation here so that when a task status changes in the technical issues list from anything to complete, the task will be added to a separate list for general support questions. And the task status will be changed back to open. And finally, there'll be a comment added for customer service. This is a team that I've created in ClickUp. And that is how they will get notified that the task is ready to be followed up on with the client. So let's take a look at how this would work when I set this task to complete. So pretty soon the automation will kick in and we can see the task has been moved back to open and it lives now not only in technical issues, but also in the general support questions list. And my customer service team got a notification that this is ready to be followed up on. So you can see that regardless of whether I'm in the technical issues list or the general support questions list, the task is visible and can be worked on by both teams. And then when this is finally concluded, the customer support team could actually just check this off. Before I get ready to hand over to Will, I did want to mention that we have a few automation integrations that you might be interested in. So for any of our developers out there, we have integrations with Bugsnag and with GitHub. And this will allow you to easily monitor bugs and take action inside of ClickUp by automating your workflow with triggers and actions. So for example, if a project has a spike in errors, that would be the trigger. You could create a high priority task in ClickUp, which would be the action. And you can customize where and how the information appears in ClickUp by mapping your data from a Bugsnag or GitHub trigger and relating it to a field in ClickUp. We also have a Calendly automation option. So when an invitee schedules an event in Calendly, you can automatically create a task in ClickUp with all of the meeting's information. So this is great for organizing logistics and action plans with your team based off of scheduled events. Finally, we have an integration with Twilio. So you can automate a text notification workflow from your ClickUp workspace. And you can use this to keep everyone in the loop and send custom SMS text messages when certain actions occur. And as many of you may know, we recently released our email from ClickUp feature. So coming soon, we will also have email automations available. So definitely be on the lookout for that in the future. Two final things before I end my segment today. First off, keep in mind that automation can always be carried over in templates. So when you save things in ClickUp as templates, you'll notice that automation is always carried over by default. So you never have to worry about that not being preserved in templates. And if you utilize our sprint feature, we have some excellent sprint automations that you may want to check out. So keep in mind that the sprint feature is one of our Click apps. So that just means it's a feature that can be turned on or off. So if you're an admin, you can go ahead and turn that feature on in the Click apps settings area. And once you have done so, you will see when you're starting to set up sprints, there are various automations that you can enable. So for example, you can create new sprints automatically. So if you haven't remembered to actually create your sprint for the next week or 2 weeks, just turn this on and indicate how many sprints you would like ClickUp to create for you automatically. And you can choose to automatically mark sprints as done once the end date elapses, so that if you forget, at Friday at midnight, your sprint week is over, you forget to mark all of your tasks as done, ClickUp will just mark the sprint as done with this on. And if you've enabled these options, you'll see the third option is available, which is to move unfinished spillover tasks to your next sprint. So if there's anything that wasn't completed in your current sprint, ClickUp will just move those tasks to the subsequent sprint, so they'll be there for you when you commence that sprint. So hopefully this gives you some productive ideas about how to get started with ClickUp's native automation feature. And I'm excited to hand it over to Will Christensen now for his portion of the webinar.
Hi, everyone. My name is Will Christensen, and I am here to tell you a little bit about automation. So this is Automation 101, how to use automation to reduce your workload. We are partnering with ClickUp on this webinar. You may have been there live and watched this. We're actually doing a slight re-record. There were some technical difficulties in getting all of that done exactly the way that we wanted to. And so we are super excited to share with you what we have here and help you learn a little bit more about automation. So we're going to get into who am I, or what do we do. So again, my name is Will Christensen. I am the CEO of DataAutomation. We are an automation and integration company, and we started back in 2016. Got really excited about the idea of automation. I used to work at an advertising agency. I was the low man on the totem pole, and I was given the opportunity to copy and paste for 16 hours a week, ladies and gentlemen. I slowly hacked away at that process, taught myself to code so that I could eliminate that manual process of 16 hours per week down to 2 hours per week, which brought me to the idea that there were probably other people out there who needed automation in their world, who needed the ability to automate. And I was like, I am going to do that. I'm going to figure out a way to help other people automate. So that's who I am. That's who we are. DataAutomation is an integration and automation company, literally here to help you do that. So obviously, I'm the presenter, Will Christensen. We're an approved development partner for many different SaaS companies, as well as a sister company to a company called Seller Labs that focuses on automation on Amazon for Amazon sellers. We're also part of a tech conglomerate called Roundsphere, where we help businesses get started and really dive in on some cool opportunities to kind of see where that goes. So that's who we are. Excited to be here. So here's our agenda today. First, we're going to talk about what to automate and what not to automate. Then we're going to talk about the nitty-gritties of how much time it takes you, how much money you can actually save by automating. We're going to talk about how to set up an automation, the pros and cons of several options that are out there in the marketplace. We're also going to talk about what Zapier is and what it does. We're also going to dive into how to build your own Zap. We're going to get our hands dirty here today. We're going to do some winning automations inside ClickUp. We're going to show you how we've done some of that in the past and what that looks like for the future. And we're going to show you some of those examples. So pretty exciting stuff. All right, let's get into it. What to automate, what not to automate. Understand how much time and money you can actually save with automation. All right, so manual tasks and money. All right, I'm going to move my screen here just a little bit, make sure you can see that ClickUp logo. Obviously, they're an important part of this puzzle because we're going to talk about how ClickUp fits into that whole realm. So how long does it take? Is it taking you an hour a day? Is it taking you 20? Are you getting paid $20 an hour? If you do that math, 22 business days in a month, an hour a day, $20, that's $440 a month, or $5,000 per year you are spending on whatever it is if it was just taking you an hour a day. So that gives you an idea. Okay, well, if this is something I'm going to do for the foreseeable future and I foresee my business lasting 5 years, you got $25,000 that you could spend on that automation project and still break even. That's a lot of money. So it's really important that you understand as you're getting in here and understanding what this looks like and where it's going, how much human error am I going to remove? What does the time actually take? Is it only worth the $5,000 if you're only expecting to it a year? No. Like, are you going to take a nap during that time? So it's important that you're really digging into what is it really worth and giving yourself a budget to automate. Okay. All right, let's get into the litmus tests. How long does it take? Is it more than 15 minutes a day? Is it more than an hour a week? Or is it more than an hour a month? I call this 15115, okay? So 15115 is a really, really powerful tool that can help you dig in and figure out what to do next on your automation. So ask yourself, is it more than 50 minutes a day? Is it more than an hour a week or more than an hour a month? If it is, do it 5 times manually. That's what the 15115 means. Do it 5 times manually before you automate. If you follow this simple rule, you will effectively eliminate a lot of the problems that a lot of people have when they get into automation. Okay, so really, really important that you kind of look at that and see where that goes, and it's important that you kind of see what's the opportunity here in terms of diving in. All right, let's get into our next piece here. All right, what to automate. So let's say that a new lead is coming into your email and you want to push that new lead into ClickUp because you're using ClickUp as a CRM. Did you know it could do that? So cool. As you may know, email is actually coming to inside ClickUp. So one app to rule them all, really, really, really going to be a cool thing. It's already there to some degree or another, and there's more coming. Okay. All right, let's dive in here. A new deal closes in your CRM. We're going to push that over into ClickUp to become a new project that your dev team takes on. Then we're also going to go in and we're going to show you about that new customer service inquiry. So let's say that there's a bug request. We're going to push that bug request into ClickUp. Let's say that there's a new customer service. Oh, let's get to the next one here. There you go. A new employee. Let's push that into ClickUp. So a new employee comes into Bamboo HR, comes into a spreadsheet where you're tracking those new employees from their applicant stage. We're going to push that into ClickUp as a task as well. So obviously, ClickUp is built in those views and the tasks and the lists. We're going to show you how all of that connects together. And that's coming later in our presentation. All right. What are some of the things you shouldn't be automating? Let's talk about some of those customer interactions. Be wary of things that come into finances. You don't want to automatically send out an invoice to somebody and then realize, oh, crap, you actually weren't quite ready to receive that invoice because I'm not actually done. Okay, so you got to be really careful with what's going on there. So things you want your eyes on before their execution. So things that could cause dramatic impact on lots of people or broadcast buttons. Think about the things that are going to make some of those oops moments pretty big if they're oops through automation. All right, let's get into how to do this. How to set up automation. Let's talk about some of the top automation platforms that are out there. and what that looks like. All right. So these are some really good questions that I've come up over the past 4 or 5 years as we've done automation. These are questions you should be asking yourself about the process. So the first question I ask is, where's the data now? Then I ask, where does the data need to go? Then what needs to happen to this data? Then what triggers the whole process to start? Okay. So where is it? Where does it need to go? What needs to happen in between? And how does this begin? If you answer those questions and then give that to your team, or you ask your team to answer those questions, you're going to be a lot farther in your process when it comes to automation. Okay. All right. Let's talk about automation techniques. Google it. Where is the data? So you're going, where's the data now? Where does it need to go? And literally, if you just put that in, ClickUp to Sheets, ClickUp to Twilio, or the other way around, Twilio to ClickUp, you're going to be surprised at how often integration specialists who have made these integrations are looking for you to Google it. So don't be surprised where Google is your best friend to find integration opportunities that already exist. Okay. ClickUp native integrations are the next place I would look. You'll notice that, you've got Twilio, you've got several other options that are right there ready to go. Then I would go out to your network, ask the mastermind, ask the other individuals who are out there who are doing what you do. Hey, how are you guys getting this data from point A to point B? You'd be surprised how often that's there. Now, you may be asking yourself, why don't I just go to Zapier first? Like, why wouldn't I just check inside Zapier? Zapier is a fantastic place to look, and I highly recommend digging into that. One of the reasons I don't just check there first is because I want to see a breadth of the world as far as all of my integration opportunities, and use Zapier for what I can't get out of the box in other places. So it's a really, really powerful tool, not discounting at all. Really, really amazing. All right. So let's talk about posting on Fiverr or Upwork. It's really, really important that you answer those questions from the past slide. And if you get stuck and you can't figure out how to do it, like you go through this whole list, Googling it, checking the native integrations, you check with your masterminds, you check with the Zapier or Integromat or whoever team, then you come up dry. There's not something out there that somebody's already built. Well, at that point, you need somebody to connect these dots for you. And that's where I highly recommend you answer those questions from the previous slide, and you go in and dig into what's going on next. All right, let's talk about some of the automation tools that are out there. Obviously, ClickUp's on the list. You've got G Suite, Zapier, Integromat, Commodore, Screencastify, Snovio, Hunter. These are, if you're interested in some automation, highly recommend digging in and looking at some of these different options that are out there, because they can make a huge difference in the overall scope of what you're doing. All right. I've taken the liberty, if you're watching this, then just pause the screen here for a second. I'm not going to go read through all of this, but I've compared Zapier, Integromat, and IFTTT, if this then that. These are three of the leaders that I see in the space. There are a lot of more enterprise level individuals out there as well, but these are three of the leaders, and I wanted to just put them at a table and show you some of what's possible and how they compare, so that you can get a toe in the water, so to speak, of where that goes. Okay, so what is Zapier and how does it work? Zapier is a workflow tool that breaks things down into triggers, actions, and searches. And the crazy thing is, it has over 2,000 integrations. They're adding a new integration every single day. So by far, they are the leader in terms of building a Pangea where everybody's building a bridge. And once you get one bridge, you're then connected to all the rest of the applications that are out there. So really, really powerful tool. And it's important for you to understand kind of what that looks like. All right, so as you can see here, ClickUp has an integration that is available to us, and we can kind of see what that looks like. So I'm going to show you really quickly on this page. Don't mind me as I look over onto my other screen here. I'm going to show you what this looks like. So you can see here we have triggers for new tasks, tasks that have changed, new folders, new lists, okay? We also have actions that we can kind of put things in and around, okay? So you mentioned we don't have any searches yet. I'm sure that's coming in the future. but really, really powerful in terms of what's possible here. And you can see they have Zap templates. These Zap templates are essentially pre-filled options for things that you can go in there. So let's say that you want to create a Google Calendar event from a new ClickUp task. There's a task that you just want to shove that into your calendar based on what's there. If you click try it here, you're going to see that it's going to pull up almost a step-by-step workflow that kind of pushes you through. So you can see it doesn't give me much option beyond click and sign in here, and it goes there. If I go to advanced mode here, you can see that I can see a little bit more about what's going on, but that simple mode actually pushes you through and doesn't give you all of these other fancy options. You can see it's kind of a template here where everything's already filled out for you. So Zap templates are a fantastic way that you can learn a little bit more about what's possible. I wanted to make sure that you guys knew where that was and could get in and kind of see where that goes. Okay, let's dive in here. We are going to get our hands dirty, and we're actually going to build inside Zapier. So a new lead comes in via email, and we're going to push that lead into ClickUp. So I am going to flip over here to one of my other pages, and I am going to show you, there you go. So this is, oh, that actually reminds me, during the presentation, if you were there live, we started to talk about the Great Suspender, and someone mentioned in the chat, hey, that's been flagged for malware. The crazy thing is it had been flagged for malware literally 4 hours before the presentation, so no way I could have known. As I dug in a little bit deeper, I discovered there's another extension out there called the Marvelous Suspender, which has the same functionality that was available in the Great Suspender, but it's now a little bit different. New owners that are no longer, kind of shifting and whatever's there. So whatever malware is there should be gone in this version. I'm not totally positive of that. I'm comfortable enough that I'm testing it. Stick around, check with me later, and I'll let you know if I'm still using the Marvelous Suspender as I monitor its progress. All right, let's dive in here. This is the interface of Zapier, okay? And inside the interface inside Zapier, you are going to find a lot of different opportunities. One second here. When you're live and you remember, hey, let's go and silence all of our phones and everything. And then you get on and you're recording something and you forget to silence things. Yeah, I'm totally silencing this. Just a second. Muted. All right, here we go. We're back on track. So this is the interface of Zapier. This is the... Let me see how to put this. This is the dashboard, the control panel. You can see all those off buttons there. I've gone in and I've set up a couple of things ahead of time to make this presentation go a little more smoothly, but I wanted to show you a little bit of what it takes to go in and do this. So remember what we're trying to automate. A new lead is coming in via email, and we're going to push that new lead into ClickUp, okay? So let's say that this new lead, for example, for us, I'm a huge fan of the Marvel universe. So in my email, the new lead actually comes in, and it is Captain Marvel who has come in. So we're going to go look at this. So you can see this one right here. I've got this little Gmail icon here, and I've got the ClickUp icon here. If I click on that, it opens up the Zap, and I've done some of this ahead of time. So this top part here, this is the trigger, and the bottom part here is the action. Okay, so the trigger listens, the action does something. So we're going to click on that, and we're going to open it up. You can see that I've already selected Gmail, and I didn't have to do new email matching search. I could have done any one of these other options. I could have done a new labeled email gets pushed into ClickUp. I could have done all new email gets pushed into ClickUp, which you wouldn't need to do because ClickUp's got a lot of that in there. But you can kind of see where that goes. Now, for me, the search that I defined, that I connected my account, you can see I got a lot of different options here. If I click connect new account, it pops right up. It's all secure, and it does that binding little connection to make everything work inside our different platforms to get everything rolling. So really, really powerful option. Oh, and I'm getting too many things here. All right, so really, really powerful option to kind of show you where that goes. All right, so the setup, the trigger, new lead Marvel is the search inside my email that I did, and I tested my trigger, and it pulled back the lead. So you can see here's the snippet, Captain Marvel, Carol. We need to get some of that data to get pushed into where we need it to go. Okay, so we're going to move down to the next step here where I've chosen ClickUp as my option. Okay, and remember, I could have chosen any number of 2,000 plus applications in here to make this work. So then I go create task, and I've chosen my ClickUp workspace. All right, so there we are, excuse me, my ClickUp account. Then I've got my data automation workspace, and I actually created a specific space called automation webinar with no folders in this one specifically, but a list called leads. And I'm going to push this data up here. So when you want to push data like that, what you're going to do is you're going to pull it in here, and you can see that I can pull in the body plane and push it in here. Now, there is some copying and pasting that you'll need to do to get this to its proper fields. That's because the current version of the Zapier integration doesn't have the custom fields yet. Data automation can help you do that custom if you want inside like a custom code step inside Zapier. But as of right now, you're going to push it in here, and you're going to, I put the task name in here, and away you go. You hit continue and hit turn that on, and it's going to push that information. So I can hit test and review, and it's going to push that information into ClickUp. So if I come back over here to ClickUp and I look at my leads, you'll see that I have a new lead right here that's loaded up. And this new lead, let's go here to the list view. So if I go inside my new lead, you'll see that I have the name and the email address, and I can start pushing those things into my custom fields and getting all of that in the way that it's going. So completely automated in terms of pushing it right in there. So if you're copying and pasting from your email into here, you can get it in here automatic, push the data around to where you need it to go, and you're solid. You're ready to go. So that would be ready. I can turn that on, and every single new email that has that in that search field is going to push right in there. All right. So let's talk about some of our other options. Let's go up here. All right. So our next piece of getting our hands dirty, we are going to do a new deal is closing inside your system. And we are going to show you how to do that. So as you go in here, the new deal is closing. We're going to do that one out of, I'm actually going to create a brand new one there. We're going to go out of streak for this one. And so streak, this could be any number of applications that you want it to go into. I'm going to use streak as my example. So streak comes in, I choose my trigger, and you can see I can do any one of these different things inside streak. So for me, this is going to be a box stage change. And I'm going to then connect my account. And as I push forward, you can see I can now start to choose the different options that come in. So I'm going to choose the stage, I'm going to choose the pipeline, and then from there, same as the other, and I'm not going to go into all the nitty-gritties here, I can create a task, and I can go all the way through, select my account, go all the way down, and I can start mapping out those different options, just like I showed you before. So we choose our workspace, and that gives me the option to choose a specific space. I've got one set up here for the automation webinar. Then I choose my next option here where I choose no folder because I didn't want to have a folder on this one. And I'm going to push this into one of my lists, right? And after I get all of that in there, my dev project is set up, can be pushed over directly from the use case mentioned before. All right, so let's go over here to our next use case. Give this a second to load. So let's talk about a new customer service inquiry, and we're going to push that to ClickUp as a task. So I'm going to close this sucker here, go here. All right, so if I've got a new customer service inquiry, let's go out here to our templates. So new customer service inquiry for us, this is going to be something that came out of, let's say, Google or Gmail. In this specific instance, it's going to be a Google form. So the customer service inquiry comes in through a form. That form gives us the ability to ask people specific questions about what's going on, and they can fill that out. So a new bug came in, and I tested this trigger already. And you can see here's what happened. So Carol Danvers is the one who filled it out. We have her email address here, And here's the questions that were asked were, what did you expect to happen and what did happen? So I expected to land softly on top of a majestic hill ready to save the world. What did happen? I crash landed into a blockbuster. So we're going to take Carol's bug here and we're going to push that into the next stage of what's going on. We're going to actually push that right into ClickUp. So if you keep going down, you can see I've pre-selected some of my options here. I got my data automation workspace, then I've got my automation webinar. I'm going to select I've selected no folder, issues or bugs, and I'm actually going to push this right into where it goes. So as I get in here, oh, not template, there we go. So now I can say, all right, so let's do Carol Danvers, and I'm going to pull in this part right here that says, what did you expect to happen? And then I'm going to pull in all of that information into this part. So you can see I can configure this in any way I see fit. And I can pull in the timestamp as well. Okay, so I've got all of that detail here. I hit continue and magically, here we go. Poof, away it goes. We're going to come back over here. We're going to pull up our issues and bugs. And you can see we now have a new one here where we have Carol Danvers and all of that information just magically showed up here. No copying and pasting necessary from that Google form. Obviously, you could do this with a native form inside ClickUp. Highly recommended. But if you're stuck with a Google form or stuck with another system that you need to connect to, this is totally possible. Okay? All right. I want to keep going through this. I want to make sure I get to all of these use cases. So the next use case we're going to talk about here is the employee use case. So let's say that your employees are inside a spreadsheet. Again, this could be Bamboo HR. This could be any one of those different systems that you wanted to go. We're going to go here, and you can see that I've selected my Google spreadsheet. I connect the dots here. This is Marvel employees. Okay, so we've got a spreadsheet here that we've connected the dots. I test the trigger, and it's going to pull in the first row of the spreadsheet. Make sure you have a first row of the spreadsheet, because if you don't, it's not going to work. So little did you know, Carol works for us. Just kidding. But I really, no, I'm not kidding. She really does. All right, so we go in here, and we're going to push this into the database inside ClickUp. So here we get an idea for the different workspaces, okay, and we've got a list of employees that we've put in here, and now I can map my data out there. So there's Carol, and I'm going to put her information. So there's her phone number, and here's the email address, and I go down to the bottom here, I hit continue, test and review, and that is going to push that data over into our system. Okay. All right. So if we go back over here and we look, oh, give it a second. Got to load. Here's the employees. And you will see that we now have Carol Danvers in here twice. Hannah's in here as well. As I open up this task, you'll see that I have her other data. So obviously, really quick, I would need to go, now that I've got it, I still do need to copy and paste, but I'm not having to go to a separate window or anything like that. I can pull that back out, put her phone number where it's supposed to go, and you can see that we can kind of get some data. Did not copy. You know when copying and pasting doesn't work because you're live in front of an audience or recording something for someone? Doesn't look like it liked my ability to copy and paste there. So once I get that data, I'm going to put it over here. We'll get it in there. Does not like pasting in there, but I can paste it into any text field I wanted. So you may have to massage things a little bit to get the right data to go in. Ah, there we go. So if I just... There we go. So you can see, oh, it did not like my, it's looking like, doesn't like, oh, you know what? This is actually a super smart form. It's outsmarted us. 888, I think it knows, yeah, it knows that 888 is not a proper phone number. And so it's telling me, you can't put that there. Thank you, ClickUp. That was brilliant. So really, really powerful in terms of what it's capable of. All right. So let's take a look here. Let's just make sure we didn't miss any of our use cases. I think we've been through all of them. We talked about employees, we talked about leads, and lastly, we talked about bugs, or, well, not necessarily lastly. So this is a way that I name everything. It's important that you go in and you know what you built. So I often will come in and I'll say, okay, what was this? And this was a bug from my Google form to ClickUp. And you'll notice that they were all kind of put that way in terms of showing you where things go and how they get pushed across for everything that's there. All right, so let's talk about some of our winning automations that we've done before that have been really, really powerful. These are examples of things that we've done. So automating the assigning of a specific task that goes into review to our customer service or sales team based on what's coming in. Automating via a Google form as Zapier. We actually have a Google form where we do all of our project cards or our bug forms. We also have started to automate using some of the ClickUp functions, project investigation forms. We are also looking at how to take things from review and complete based on various parameters for the list or the assignee or all of those things to kind of automate and push things around inside there. And, we have a cause for the tickets. So like we can add new people to the ticket based on what's happening inside what's there. So those are some of the things we're doing. So together now we know what not to automate, what to automate, how to automate, how Zapier works, what it is. We're also understanding some of those Zap templates that I showed you before and some of the things we do inside ClickUp ourselves so that you can know where that goes. So the Q&A session, obviously this, when we did this live, we had that Q&A session. It was beautiful. I'm just going to recount some of those questions that I can remember off the top of my head. One individual asked me, well, how secure or how reliable is Zapier? And I can tell you it is bulletproof reliable. I actually use it as my alarm clock every morning. And I let it wake me up with a phone call. So kind of like you would in a hotel where you're like, hey, can you, call me at this time to wake me up? I actually have set that up for myself. And so it wakes me up based on a calendar event on my calendar. It'll wake me up at the appropriate time that I'm supposed to be up every morning. So I trust Zapier inside out and underneath. Some of the other questions were about specific applications. I'm going to show you really quick since we've got you here. I'm going to go show you zapier.com/apps. This was one of the things we did on our Q&A portion where I showed people how to search for basically anything. So if Twilio is the one you were worried about, yeah, Twilio is there, and you can see they have an app. So highly recommend that if you're wondering where that goes, how it works, that you push in and get where you're going. So thanks, everybody, for joining me on this re-recorded portion of our webinar. Really appreciate you, and I'm super excited to help you automate. You can find us at dataautomation.com, and we are happy to show you how we've automated some of our contact forms and looking at that.